Hi everybody, this is the Rambling Toffee. I hope everybody is doing well today. Wherever you are in the world who's listening to this podcast or watching this podcast, I hope you're all doing well. Um, well, how can I start today? Lately and for most of the season, all I've been doing is moaning and groaning about everything at Everton Football Club, from the takeover, from the points deduction, from the way the team's been playing, and everything and anything that is ongoing. And there's only been short periods of time throughout the season where I've actually been positive about a result that I've seen on the field. But other than that, it's just been more and more negative, more and more me moaning, groaning, ranting, and all sorts of things. So it's going to be nice today's podcast that I can actually talk about Everton in a positive light, about the game yesterday and the win against Nottingham Forest, and and the expectation of what was going to happen yesterday, because after the 6-0 defeat against Chelsea, it was like, what can happen next? I just felt very, very weary and worried that the game yesterday against Forest, we would probably come away with a defeat as well. Because as much as Forest are, in this near where we are, they are scoring goals and they have been, not getting the results that they wanted, but they are scoring a goal. So between, where my thinking was, I was thinking this is going to be a very, very difficult game. But as I mentioned last week, this is a big, big win, a big, big win that we needed, and a boost that we needed, that we go into the next couple of home games that we are upcoming, especially on Wednesday night. That's going to be a tough one, against Liverpool, who are still trying to get back into the title race. They won yesterday, so it's going to be difficult, as it always is in the derby game against Liverpool. But you just never know. And then the big game, I refer to the biggest game, is the Brentford game next Saturday. If results go for us this week, with Luton and Nottingham Forest as well, of course, and teams around us, if they can drop points, because they have got a couple of away games upcoming, if they can if they can drop points and we can gain some points, then I think we'll be safe, and not get relegated for this season, and we'll be in a really, really strong, be able to end the season without really any kind of stresses or of if we're going to stay up or not. And it's been a long time coming to actually even a little bit thinking in that way, because if for after the 6-0 defeat, I genuinely thought that we are down. I just felt that we're not going to get any more results, we're not going to get any more points, because I just think, well, how are we going to win, how are we going to get these results now in these games? So yeah, great result yesterday. So yeah, let's get into the game yesterday. Everton 2, Nottingham Forest nil. uh, Sean Dyche made some changes, obviously, from the 6-0 defeat. And Arna got omitted from the squad. And we had, obviously, with Patterson injury when he came on near the end of the game against Chelsea, is out for the rest of the season, obviously. And Seamus Coleman's also injured. Ashley Young reverted back to a right back role, and Jack Harrison came back in to play on the right wing. And it was great to see Gomez in the team as well, starting with Idrissa Gueye as well. So basically, the midfield was changed, and of course Dominic Calvert-Lewin came back in for Beto, and it was same old in the same like formation and everything else like that, and the tactics obviously were very similar. But we started off first 10-15 minutes, we were shocking with passing and moving the ball around. We got ourselves into positions going forward, and I thought, wait to get forward, but they kept on giving the ball away. The final ball was terrible. I thought Andre Gomez, I don't know why he was given some free kick responsibilities and corner kicks. He was shocking. He was hitting the first man or hitting it over, putting too much pace on the ball. But other than that, with Andre Gomez, I'll say that he had a good game yesterday. He kept hold of the ball and he kept control of it. But for that first 10-15 minutes, it was like, have they learned anything? Did they take anything? And get out there and try and get a result. Get forward. Just let it go, basically, and just do the best you possibly can. Put the fight in. Put the commitment in. But again, it was like same old, same old. Get the ball. We trying to get it forward, trying to get into positions, and it was the final ball. It was the final pass. It was this, and it was frustrating. And I was just thinking, here we go again. It's like same old thing again. It was like the Burnley game. I'll give an example at home when we won 1-0. Same old, but in that game, it was throughout the whole of that game. We got the goal in that occasion, and but other than that, we were just very, very disappointing. But it was just like we can't pass the ball to each other. We couldn't. It was like they've never played with each other again. I said this against after the Chelsea game. Same scenario. They were like alien beings. They've never really met each other. Didn't even do any, anything. As soon as we went 1-0 down in the game against Chelsea, it was like just caved in. The mentality of the squad in that game had gone. It wasn't strong enough. There wasn't strong characters in that team who could pull us all back, and that's what I got from that game. And what I felt was that how are we going to get wins? How are we going to get results? But after the initial 15 minutes, gradually we got the ball a little bit more. We started to move it forward a bit more. We passed the ball a bit more. Okay, we continue to do what we're doing with the tactics with Jordan Pickford launching the ball forward to Calvert-Lewin to knock-ons, but we were getting opportunities. We were getting in better positions. We were improving. We were a lot more committed, a lot more determined. Players were really, 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 you can say they've taken on board obviously what happened after that game and taken responsibility for it, and they've gone out right. We better go and do something about this. But I will say, in that first half, and even throughout the game, there were moments. I'll continue to say this that were frustrating for me, and I was just like thinking, why can't we string passes together in a game? Why can't we get forward when we do? Because, as I mentioned in a minute, in the second half, when Forest were trying to get back into the game and getting forward a bit more, but when we got the ball, we were getting forward at mass. It was just the final passes and the final crosses. It was just all wrong decision making again. But the main thing in this situation is in that first half, it was frustrating in bits, and I just thought, where are we going to get this goal? And of all players, Idrissa Gana Gay, when he got that ball, like me in my head, and I said, the person next to me, and I forgot what her name is, but we always chat. She's great, great Evertonian. She's like me. We bloody moan about throughout the whole game about how passing this and that and the other, where we need the goal, we desperately need it. And the conversation around there is like, come on, where's this goal coming from? And then Idrissa Gay got the ball, and I thought, here we go. He doesn't normally, when he hits the ball, we all know what's going to happen next. Goes over the bar, and that's it. And it's just this, it's standard basically with him. And he hit that ball, and what a fantastic goal, right in the corner, and it erupted. And you can just feel the confidence in the players improved. He felt like, well, yeah, we got the goal, we needed that. But it's what it from that 15 minutes initially. I know, as I mentioned throughout the game, there were moments where I just got frustrated with it, and I think a lot of fans did as well with the passing, the final pass while going forward. It was a much improved performance. It was a better performance, got all round. Every player committed. They all had a plan, what they were doing, what their jobs were. So I know from after the game, obviously Sean Dyche, I think, or before the game, I heard that he mentioned that they all sat down, they were honest with each other, the coaching staff, everybody together to try do something different. As much as what we saw was very similar, but it's something seemed to rub off because you saw that with Sean Dyche with not wearing his suit and having his training kit on and being part of it. He wanted to be part of the team. So maybe what we're seeing is that there was been a separation between the players and the coaching setup, and he needed to be more all together as one. But that's what he said. So obviously something shifted. Everybody's taking responsibility for this. But also with that game, obviously everybody's seen the aftermath from Nottingham Forest regarding the incidences that we had, especially in the first half, the two incidences in the first half, and the incident in the second half. I'll get onto the second half in a moment, but the first half, obviously, the one where Ashley Young, who had an okay game, he did his job, but he was the epicenter of all the issues that were up with these incidences, where on another day could have been given as penalties. One in the incident, obviously, he went down the foot trail and getting the ball. Um, Referee saw that and thought, no. VAR, I don't know if they checked that one, I don't know, but wasn't given. But on another day, could have happened, could have been given. Obviously, the handball, but then again, in my mind, I thought that's not a penalty. I'm being biased in some sense if it happening to us, and we've had situations like that happen to us this season. Um, I would have been absolutely irate, thinking we should have been given a penalty for that. But when he was headed on, he was actually it was so near to him, he couldn't have time to move his arm, and I just felt that was not a penalty. The first one, obviously, I mentioned that I don't think that was a penalty. I think the Forest player went down a bit too easy trying to get a penalty. Um, but I will say I'll come back to the one that happened in the second half, and I'll talk a little bit about the statement that the Forest put out there after the game and the whole uproar of the whole thing later on as we come to the end of the game. But 1-0 at half time, come out in the second half. We were a little bit kind of guessing that Forest would get back into the game more. I did feel that, for a certain period of time, we weren't getting as forward as we were wanted to. We had moments breaking out, so it's like being the away team that we would absorb all the possession or the opportunity, the ball that Forest had, and basically got the ball and got forward and break quite quickly. But nothing materialised from that. Nothing. Again, that's where my frustration had with the game was that we got ourselves into position, so we got ourselves forward, but for some reason we were breaking at pace, and then all of a sudden we got to to get to the box, and basically it seemed to the players just slowed down and went back, and we went back, and then the momentum went off. Momentum just deteriorated, and we just seemed to slow back down, and that was what was frustrating. We didn't make up the opportunities that we had when we had that in the second half. And I feel Forest started to come back in a bit more. They were getting forward a bit more. They made the changes that they did. And then, of course, a great bit of play. Branthwaite, good passing movement from players getting forward. And that was great to see. I always moan and complain about, can they actually keep the ball together and pass the ball around? They can do it when they're in a good situation, and they got that situation. Bradford came out with the ball, moved it on, with some 1-2s going on, going forward between McNeil, then Decory back to McNeil. McNeil, absolute fantastic hit right in the corner, off the post and in. And it was the relief because we needed that second goal, because what was happening before that, as I mentioned, Forest was starting to gradually get back into the game. They were getting forward more. They were exploiting Ashley Young on the right. They were using that side more and more to get past him, because as much as he had an okay performance throughout that game, he's not the pace side of it. He hasn't got that pace. So the ball going or over him or around him, he's not getting himself in the right position. And we've seen that throughout when he's played in that position before, where he's too slow to react. And that's where we had that incident in the second half where we were 2 up. But even for me and other fans around me, we were honest enough, I'll say, it was felt like Brighton when we were even 4-1 up at one point, and we're still worried that they might get another goal back at Brighton away the other season. That's what it felt like. We were 2 up. We're not that far off, getting the result that we need, but it just felt that all it takes is them to get one goal back, and then then the pressure's back on again, and it could have been a very different story. And then of course they get that moment where um, the ball went across from my side in the main stand. The ball went in, and it looked like Ashley Young got the ball, and then the player went down behind him, uh, by the side of him. On what I saw on TV later on, and the replay, that one, if VAR intervened in it, I don't know if they did, but obviously that was more a penalty than the other two, but it wasn't given. And we had a bit of luck. We've had luck in that game. We don't get much luck in games all season. Last season, the decision making by the referees, VAR, and everything else regarding for Everton and other clubs in the Premier League, except maybe sometimes the the top six, the sly six as I call them. They seem to get more the decisions than we are. It feels like that, but they can probably complain and say, "Well, we've had VAR calls go against us as well." But it seems to be them VAR calls have been going against them against the teams that are in that six when they've been playing them, and that's where it's been there. So that's where they're complaining about. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that they say, well, it's happened in other games as well, but not just teams who are in the top six. But anyway, by the by, I felt that one, yes, maybe that should have been a penalty. But as we go on, in a moment when I speak about that statement that was put out, I'll mention about the officiating by Anthony Taylor and that VAR, but I'll mention about that in a moment. What my thoughts on him as a referee is, and well, it's not very. He shouldn't be refereeing, to be honest with you, but I will get more into that in a moment. Of course, right at the end, an incident happened with Beto getting knocked out, knocked unconscious. Thankfully, he's okay. It's looking unlikely because there is concussion protocol with head injuries, so they have a certain period of time before they are allowed to remain training and get back into the team again and get themselves back playing again. So, but thank God he recovered because it was very worrying, and especially when I saw the likes of Dwight McNeil and I think Ashley Young, who were actually heads in their arms and really concerned about Beto because we didn't know what had actually happened. Obviously, we knew it was serious and how long the length of time it took for him to get on the stretcher and taken away to hospital. But he's tweeted and he's put stuff out there on Instagram. I think it is that he's fine and he'll recover perfectly fine with that. I think so. That's all positive and all good because I did feel in one sense that Beto came on in the second half for Calvert Lewin and he worked really really well. I was quite shocked because everybody else about his control and everything else, but he instantly came on the pitch. Somebody passed him a really quick ball to him, and he controlled it instantly, and he got it out wide to Harrison, and he made more of an impact. And no disrespect to Calvert-Lewin, he's probably coming off an injury, and he's trying to recover again, or trying to get back up to full speed again in the game yesterday. But Beto came on instantly in that few minutes. He did more work than what Dominic Calvert-Lewin did in the whole of the game, all the time that he was on the pitch. So yeah, but yes, yeah, he did well. He had one or two run-ins going through on goal, but one occasion I thought was a foul, but he did his job, and good for him. And hopefully, we'll continue seeing the best of him when he comes on from as a substitute as we come to the end of the season. And starting with him personally, my personal view is that he should be more a player that can come on and impact in that way, and he'll get better. I hope. He gets better. But as we'll say, yesterday it was a good performance when he was on the pitch, and he did the job that he did, and whenever he got the ball, he did well with it. He obtained it well. He got it out to the wingers, and he got all the players in. So he did his job really well, a lot better than I was expecting from him. But then, of course, what happened next when he got knocked out? Yeah, so thankfully he's on a full recovery, so it's really, really good that hopefully we'll see him again soon. But Chimiti came on for him, and I think he did really well. So it'll be interesting what happens on Wednesday if Calvert-Lewin is not available, if he has got a knock, and because we won't have Beto neither, that would Chimiti come in for that game because I think he did really well when he came on. Got himself about with the centre backs, and he was getting around, and I think he should have had a foul. On one instance, he wasn't given anything. He was pulled down and everything, nothing. And I think we played on from it. And well, the referee played on for a few seconds. Nothing happened of it, and we didn't get a free kick from it. That is now we move on to the absolute uproar that what happened, not just for those decisions yesterday for Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest obviously have had issues with the referee and VAR, and similar to everybody else. I've talked about ourselves and the situations that we've been in this season with VAR and refereeing decisions that have been absolutely shocking at best. And I can be sympathetic to an extent with fans and the club, Nottingham Forest, for what the instances yesterday and instances throughout the games that they've been involved in where decisions have gone against them, and you can understand the frustration, and I can understand the reasoning, but that statement, from my perspective, it shouldn't be coming from the club in that manner, because it's fine me as fans or any fans to call it as corruption because it seems to be the top six clubs get the better decisions than we do. We'll play Liverpool on Wednesday, and they'll get more decisions for them than for us, and it will happen. And that's the feeling that we all have, and that's the feeling that we have with the referees this season and last season since the VAR has come in as well. And I think you know it's that statement in a sense of the word, and then we got their manager also not conspiracy theories, but basically saying that there's an issue here. We had a concern with the VAR official, Stuart Atwell, and we've had an issue with Stuart Atwell on many occasions. I don't know how many occasions, but I think he's top of the list. Or is it Koenig? I can't remember anybody else, but basically we've had issues with these referees all season long. But we want when these things have happened to us, we wanted Dyche to come out and order club to start, throwing, saying this is wrong, you can't be doing this. But they had to. What they say is that wrong decisions, the bad calls, and everything's why they're doing this, why But it was never. We're just calling it as it is, as bad decisions and terrible decisions. But we never. Well, the club or the manager has never looked upon it as a conspiracy theory against the club, that they're doing it on purpose, that there is a reason behind it. What Nottingham Forest statement did yesterday was to say that you had a VAR official who supported Luton, and because that they had a concern that because he supported Luton, that the decisions in the game yesterday was going to go against them because of that. He'll look at and be biased because it's Luton and Forest is near the bottom end. They should have been more concerned about us because we're more near to Luton Town than we are to Forest until yesterday, of course, the result. So, so I can't understand that. But I will say this, that you know shouldn't be putting stuff like that out there on an official channel. But I can also understand the frustration and the feeling of why they put that out there. It doesn't help that you have Clattenburg, who is employed by Nottingham Forest, who's watching these matches and seeing that these decisions are obviously wrong, and he's the one is dictating this. Why would a club employ a former referee for games? What it's going to achieve? You know, you can bring somebody in to go through the rules and go through all the game and how it all works, how the rules work, and make sure that players understand it, managers understand it, how it works in that sense. You can bring someone in, any club can do that, to understand the rules and understand what's going on, but to employ someone to week in, week out, basically watch their game and say, well, I think he made that decision wrong, he did this and this and that. And he's the one is telling the club that this is what he feels and what he thinks is happening and his concerns are. It's coming from a former referee. That is unbelievable, because I would guess he probably knows some of these referees and he's probably friends with them, maybe. I don't know. Some of the older ones, more experienced ones. Experienced ones. Anyway. So, yeah. What's that all about? Anyway. From my point of view, yesterday, Anthony Taylor, not just for those decisions, but Anthony Taylor was an absolute disgrace. He is all about him. He made it all about him. Every decision that he made, the bookings, I think one for Harrison, I can't remember why he got that. Branthwaite got a booking because he actually was rightly had a go, because it was a foul, I think it was. He was right to have a go because it could have been caused an injury, and right to have a go. I think it was Dwight McNeil got knocked down, and he got booked for remonstrating about it. But the biggest thing that got me, why I think it's all about him, was basically I think it was after one of the penalty shouts in the first half, and he took his time, walked all the way to the sideline, talked to the assistant manager, the coach for Nottingham Forest, and gave him a booking. Had a word with him and walked, and then he walked all the way back. And he probably paused. That's why we had amount of time that was being deducted through injury and other things like that throughout the game. Why we had 9 minutes of injury time, and then of course with Beto getting in, it dragged on and on and on till the game ended. But every time he comes to Everton, he's always all about him. And the decisions that he made yesterday were some really, really shocking ones, and not just on the penalty decisions, but throughout the game. And it's not just him, it's other referees. Oliver, we've talked about the Burnley game, as much as in that game they had a player sent off. But again, some of the decisions he made in that game were absolutely terrible. And you're there scratching your head thinking, why? Where did that decision come from? What made you prompt that? And that was, you had Oliver, you've had Taylor, you've had Atwell. And the worst thing I said to, my friend next to me, I said to her, the worst thing is we know their names. We know who they call these referees. And that's the worst. And the first, we boo them because of the decisions that they make in games. But at one point in our time watching football, we used to watch the football and watch the players playing football. Referee, you didn't even know their name. You just knew that they were refereeing the game, and that was it. You didn't know anything, and they just did their job. But now it's like constant. Every game, something about the referee, something about the referee's decision here, or a VAR call, or whatever. And it's just getting worse. And it just feels like, if the rumours are true that Nottingham Forest may sue PGMOL, I can understand the frustrations that they're going from, because it's happening them every week in, week out. But is it going to do anything? Is it going to change anything? Is it going to make anything happen? Sadly, after that statement, they're putting out there that that the PGMOL is corrupt. That the decisions that are being made on the pitch are motivated, for certain teams to get give them the advantages in games. Even from my point of view, and the decisions that we've seen this season for Everton, I've said PGMO is corrupt. I've said it myself. I've said if something's going on here, we're coming up with decisions like that. Why are they not going for us? These decisions, from what I'm seeing, look like calls that should, like a penalty or a sending off or something happen. We've only had 2 penalties all season. That's bad as itself. So we can pull the question. So the big question, I'll put it out to you guys out there. What do you think? Because you know, if we were in that situation, what happened yesterday, and we had those moments similar, would we react the same way? Would we go, we should have had a penalty there? What's he doing? What's the VAR doing? Why are you not giving that decision? That looks like a penalty. And so much as I tried to explain, I think that those first two weren't. From my vantage point, of what I watched and what I saw and what I felt, I did think that that last one was. But somebody else, you guys out there, you listen to me or watch me, you might say, "Well, I think all of them were not penalties." But that's the debate, isn't it? We all see it differently. But the referee who is right on the field looking at that, then you've got VAR, in a truck somewhere, who has the cameras, who has the TV monitors, can actually look at that and go, "Can you go and have a look at this? Because I think it's this." If the VAR has watched them three incidences himself, because he has to, and if he thinks that there is an error by the official on the field, he should be the one to say, "Well, I think you made an error." But if the on-field referee, like Anthony Taylor yesterday, made those decisions and he said they're not, and VAR has told him, "No, if you're fine, no issue, no error," that's the decisions that they've made. Whatever we think, whatever we looking at it and think that should be a penalty or that shouldn't be a penalty, or whatever. But that's what happened in the instance yesterday. And if it was happening to me, I would be going absolutely irate as well. I'll be saying, "What the hell did he do?" I'll be saying the same things because it's my team that's on the end of it. My team's going to be the one that should gain with a penalty there, but we haven't been given it. If it happens to me, I'll be in the same anger and same feelings that why did we get that? Why didn't we get that? Why didn't we get that decision? What's going on? And then I'll start thinking, it's all bloody corrupt? Because I've seen it. I've seen tweets, I've seen fans out there, we've happened to us, we said something not right here. That referee's corrupt. VAR's absolute shite. But you'll find that on an official sense, that's the emotion, that's the way we are. But in an official sense, Sean Dyche comes out and just says it's happened, and will say, I think it's a penalty. I think it's this from what I've seen, but the referee's giving this. And instead of going to the next step by actually throwing accusations out there, that's when the world gets muddied. Everything's getting muddied over. This is just going to drag on. This is just going to keep on going. So it'd be interesting what happens with it next. But I can understand the frustration from it, and I can understand the intention of it. But you hope the referees, as much as how crap they are and not very good at what they do at the moment, you hope they're being honest about the decisions that they make. But let me know in the description below, if it's on YouTube or on Spotify or on Twitter or wherever else that I post. Just let me know. Let's have a disagreement. Let's have an argument about it. Why not? It's everybody else's opinion. But coming off yesterday, 2-0, better performance. I thought Idris Gay was my man of the match. I thought he slotted back into the position perfectly, and he seemed to support the defence. I thought Branthwaite did well as well, as per usual. He came back after the game that he had, like everybody else did against Chelsea. I thought Tarkowski was okay again. Ashley Young had an okay game despite the incidences that took place. I thought it was an okay performance, a performance that had a plan in place, and he seemed to go for it. So yes, take 2-0. It's an improvement. It's nice. We can go into the next game against Liverpool, hopefully set up the right way. You never know. You never know. You never know what's going to happen next. It is the derby game. They always say that form goes out the window and that sort of stuff. It's going to be a massively difficult game, but all I'll say is you never know. But in my mind, the biggest game is going to be Brentford on Saturday. They've come off a good win against Luton. They scored 5 against them, so they're good. They're safe and they're in a good place, I think, at the moment. So, but if we can set up right and do what we did yesterday, and we can set up and mentally set up right, I think we can hopefully get a result. And if we can, then I see us being safe. But we still got opportunities. We've got Luton away, and we've still got Sheffield United to play at home as well. So we've still got opportunities to even pull ourselves further away from this. So we just have to wait and see. But let's be optimistic this week. Let's be positive. It's always that tends to happen when we win football matches. You do you take the positives from what you see in the game. Yes, I saw, as I mentioned, um, moments throughout the game where couldn't string passes together, or the final pass was not good, or was not, and it a bit disappointing in parts. But other than that, it's a 2-0 win. It was a morale boosting win. It's what's going to help. Hopefully, gives them some confidence, gives us as fans some confidence going forward. And before I finish today's podcast, I'm not going to touch much about the takeover and stuff like that because that's just ongoing. I'll talk more about that if there's any news stories out there regarding that. There's nothing really changed on that. I will say also that the appeal is going to be heard for the end of the season about our 2-point deduction, so we might get something back on that. That'll be good, so that an extra point might be helpful. So I'll talk more about that when it gets near to that time. And finally, before I go, I just want to say well done to the 1878 guys and girls who did wonderful yesterday with the atmosphere, with the flags and the mosaic in the park end and all the flags, the different flags. It was a wonderful thing to have, and it built a really good atmosphere yesterday. It was a better atmosphere than it's been for a while, which was really, really good. Everybody got behind the team, and the team responded to it, and we got what we needed, and that's what was the main crux of it. Let's hope we get that in the game on Wednesday night. Obviously, we will because it's a derby game, and hopefully, getting Brentford, we get that momentum again. Get behind the boys like we have been doing, and I think we'll be fine. And it's amazing, rare from my point of view to actually think like that. But after the 6-0 defeat, I genuinely thought that we were going in another pathway and through that trapdoor, and I think that's what I felt was going to happen. But yesterday gave me a little bit of a boost in positive sense. I think my mindset just before I leave this today is I'll talk about Sean Dyche and my feelings about that. That's nothing's changed on that. Nothing's changed on Kevin Fairwell and that sort of thing in the future. But at the moment, my focus is on the team and get this team to to a position that we are safe in the Premier League for next season, and then we can all talk about what's going to happen next season, what's going to happen in the summer, and everything else like that in the future. So yes, just before I go, I'm going to be having a guest on next week. It's a plan, hopefully Monday of next week. Stu, who is from the Everton Views. If you see him on social media, his name's Stu. He's requested he wanted to come on, so I thought, well, why not? It's not just me rambling on. We can have somebody else who wants to rant or ramble on about everything that is Everton Football Club. So hopefully next week, that'll be planned. So just keep an eye out for that. I'll keep everybody posted on that. So it'll be great to see and hear Stu views and opinions about all things Everton Football Club next week, and also you know. So yes, you can also follow him on social media through Everton Views. That's his other Twitter page that he has. So just keep an eye out and ear out on that one. And on that note, thank you again for listening to the podcast. Please give as much feedback as you possibly can. If you're on YouTube, if you can subscribe and like the page, like the videos that I do. If you're on Spotify, follow me if you can. If you've not already have done, I'm on Apple Podcasts and everything else like that. Just keep, get, any support would be fantastic because it's always been appreciated and it's always been great to have. So I want to say thanks again. Enjoy your week. I'll keep my next podcast will be obviously next Monday. So I'll give it. Me and Stu will have a chat about the Derby game and also the Brentford game, and anything else that's going on. So on that note, have a great week. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. All right. Bye bye.